Hi guys, this is Mirena. This week I would like to talk about some of the common traps that might keep us in toxic relationships, because it's not always so clear cut. It's not always extreme emotional or physical abuse where you know to get out of it as fast as you can. Usually the way this expresses into our lives are a lot more subtle ways. Toxicity is not really something that is huge and big and happens at one time. These are small, tiny little patterns of behavior that remain relatively constant throughout your relationship. And really the result of it is draining your energy. You put a lot of attention, focus, and effort onto this relationship and working on yourself, and nothing really eventually gets much better. Now, usually, like I said, we feel that heaviness. We feel like things are really not working out. We spend a lot of time and energy working, compromising, trying to figure things out, and usually looking for the fault within ourselves first. Now, very often, when you approach your partner and they exhibit some sort of behavior that you find abusive in one way or another, or toxic, whether it's words, whether it's criticism, whether it's them being constantly unsatisfied with what you do or don't do, with who you are or you're not, with how you look or you don't look, you usually approach them about that. You raise the subject and you say, I'm not okay with this doesn't feel good to me. And one of the common traps is they say, oh, I know, and I really don't want to do this. I want to change, but I need your help. Now, usually this goes with personalities that are really helping and nurturing and loving beings. You are probably one of them. And of course, we want to help. We think, well, I'm not perfect. I can't expect them to be perfect. It's normal for things to go that way. And maybe they do want to change, and I'm ready and willing to help them. Well, I've seen that happen so many different times. And guess what? The person seems to change for just a tiny little bit of time, and just about enough to keep you hooked and to keep you in that relationship. And then things seem to slide right back to where they were, or even worse at times. And guess what? You're failing because you're not helping them very well change, because they definitely want to change, right? This is just an excuse to keep us in that relationship, to keep us going, to keep us trying to do the work for ourselves, for them, for the relationship, for everybody. Everybody's absolutely capable of doing that themselves and making changes to their behavior if they recognize that that needs to happen. Now, very often this happens at a subconscious level. Your partner might even believe that they want to change, and they might even believe that they need your help. But this part is irrelevant, because the result of it is that it keeps you in a toxic relationship that drains your energy, doesn't fulfill you, satisfy you, nurture you, support you in any way, and is probably, in that sense, not that great for you. Now, the second one is to put the responsibility of everything that's happening in the relationship to you. They say, yes, I recognize that my behavior is bad or this and that, and I did this because you ... because you say this, or because you do this, because you trigger me and I can't help it, and that's why I have that behavior. So that's using guilt and projection and saying, if you weren't, doing all these things to trigger me, then I would not be acting that way. And you're thinking, maybe I'm really triggering, and maybe I'm doing things wrong, and maybe it's my fault that they're extremely jealous or reacting in that way. You look at yourself and you accept fault basically to a large degree, and you start working on yourself, while in the meantime, all of those really toxic patterns of behavior in your relationship continue. Another common trap is for them to say and reassure you that they love you. And basically, it's kind of focus on the love. I do love you. It doesn't matter how bad things are. I do love you. Well, if somebody really loves you, they are going to take the steps for you to work together to making the relationship a lot better. They might even go a step further and say, nobody's going to love you like I do. And when they repeat it enough times subconsciously, we might even start to believe it. And that's happened to me in the past, actually a couple of times. And that's just another tool to hook you to stay, especially if you start believing it. It's fantastic if nobody loves you like they do, because this type of love doesn't feel that good. It's not nurturing, it's not supportive. And in that sense, it isn't really love, although they might call it that. Sometimes by just hearing those words, oh, they really love me and I really love them and I should continue working in the relationship. That word love, because we want it and we crave it so much and it's so close to the essence of who and what we are, but we're very much disconnected from that. We tend to stay in that relationship, and that's one of those common hooks and traps to just keep us there. Now, the next trap for us to look at is the phrase, you don't care about me. And that's another projection, because you're most probably a loving and extremely caring being. And when they say you don't care about me, what do? You stay in that relationship and you go out of your way to try and show them and convince them that you do care. You have probably done that already a million times and have proven it beyond any reasonable doubt. But it doesn't matter, because we get hooked into it. Then it's definitely a red flag and something worth looking into. Now, this is not to blame the other person, even if they are the toxic person in this relationship. We are the person who's allowing it. We have opened doors. We have stayed in that relationship. So it's not about blaming the other person. The next step for us would be to figure out, what are our open doors? What are our programs and our patterns and maybe subconscious models of behavior that put us in this situation, so that we can close those, figure them out, and move on to a much more different experience and not repeat the same one. But we are going to talk about this in a future video. This list is not really exhaustive. This is just a representation of some of the most common traps that keep us in a toxic relationship. In the meantime, if you're not quite sure whether you are in a toxic relationship, whether your particular circumstance fits that description, or how to get out of it, you can book a session at askmilena.com. Remember to subscribe to my newsletter as well as the channel, and click on the bell so that you can get notification for all future videos which come out on Friday. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye-bye.